Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'm going to show you how to cycle from Camden Town to Hackney Central. There are various ways you can do this, but the way we're going to go takes about 30-35 minutes and it's all on back streets and bike lanes. It's actually really pleasant. It's the way that I would recommend it. And we're going to start right outside the Stables Market in Camden, so right in the middle of Camden Town. And you can just wheel over here onto Harmood Street. This is a little back street. It's quite handy. I've taken a route to avoid the canal this time. A few people commented that they didn't like going down the canal. So you just turn right down here down Clarence Way. That's through some nice little bollards. And there's not really any traffic on Clarence Way because it's closed to through traffic. There's no cars because of those bollards. Be careful as you cross this road here. And then head into the Clarence Way estate, and this is a housing estate, so be careful and dismount here because there's these little speed bumps. I think they're actually for mopeds, but you don't want to, run into anyone going around the corner. And you can get back on your bike here through the gate. You shouldn't be parked there, and cross Kentish Road. Be careful, obviously, onto Farrier Street. And this is a nice little cut through here. We're really just getting out of Camden Town at the moment, and make sure you turn right here onto Royal College Street. This is a really handy north-south street. It's got cycle lanes the whole way. It's kind of a mix of those stepped protected cycle tracks and the little armadillos, the little plastic bumps on the street that sort of delineate where the lane is. Be careful coming up here because there's a little turning here and cars always poke their nose out. Yeah, you saw that. But otherwise it's a really nice street to cycle on. And you're pretty much just going straight down here. We're just getting out of Camden Town, really. So this route actually is not the most direct route you could take, but I think it's a good balance of being relatively direct and quite nice cycle. And 35 minutes to get between the two is... that's about how long it takes to get the Overground. So it's probably about right, you'd expect to go about as quickly. So turn left here onto Midland Road. Again, more cycle tracks on here. And you just keep going straight. And as you keep going down here, we're coming up to St Pancras Station now. And the lane here is protected, although for some reason there's cabs, taxis also sometimes parked alongside here, but it's not a... it shouldn't really be a problem. They're mostly stationary. And yeah, we come up here. And we made it to the Euston Road now, and we go straight across the Euston Road onto Judd Street. You may be a bit confused as to why we're going south when Hackney is actually kind of like northeast of Camden. That's just to get us onto a really good route, and it is worth it. And I think it actually saves time overall because the streets around here can be a bit of a mess. And then, yeah, we're going on Judd Street, and then we turn left here onto Tavistock Place. And there's not really cycle lanes on this street, but it's pretty quiet. It's quite a decent route, but do watch out for cars like that guy. But yeah, it's overall pretty decent to cycle, and there's a lot of cyclists on it as well because it is the main route. You'll get to the crossroads here, and just go straight across through this little cut through called Ampton Street, and this is actually one of my favourite little bits here. I like how they've landscaped it. And then turn right at the end of that onto Cubitt Street, and this is just a residential street, and there's very little traffic on it because there's nowhere to get to if you're in a car. And at the end of that, turn left onto Calthorpe Street, and then wait at the lights. You might notice I've actually cut out all the time waiting at the lights just because no one really wants to watch sitting at a traffic light. You probably do enough of that as it is. But yeah, go up here, Margery Street. It's a nice little protected lane. Sorry, it's a little bit bumpy here. It kind of needs to be resurfaced. It's not actually as bad when you're on it as it looks in the video. But yeah, go all the way up to the top of that. And then at the end, turn left. Now, yeah, Amwell Street, and we're going to turn right in a second onto, I think it's called River Street. Now, one thing, this section of the route is actually a little bit complicated, and there's quite a lot of twists and turns to it. And you might think, how the hell is he remembering all these turns, all these streets? And it's actually really simple. From about now, for a while, we're basically just going to be following a route that TfL's made called Quiet Way 2, and you can basically follow that by looking at where it says Q2 next to the cycle symbol painted on the ground. You can see there Q2, Q2, and there's little arrows telling you which way to go. So yeah, you don't really need to remember where to go, just make sure you keep an eye out for Q2. It's mostly pretty self-explanatory. Occasionally there'll be bike symbols that don't have a Q next to them, and they're a bit ambiguous. Sometimes that's Q2, sometimes it's another route. But yeah, just take it slowly, it's actually a pretty leisurely ride. So we're going on all these streets here. You can see they're all kind of blocked off to cars at one end, so that's why there's no traffic on it. It's just a really nice ride. This is Islington, and it's basically the borough between Camden and Hackney. So most of the ride is through Islington, and Islington used to be a pretty inhospitable place to cycle. It's pretty wealthy, so it has a lot of cars. But during the coronavirus pandemic, Islington Council has gone pretty gung-ho with putting in low traffic neighbourhoods, so there's a lot of streets that are basically just blocked off to cars at one end, and it's made it about 400% nicer to cycle through. So this is why I would now take this route to Hackney. Previously I would have gone a different way, but this is a much nicer way. So watch out here, make sure you turn left here, don't miss that turning. It's not always obvious because you're just going along the street. And I missed it. I don't know if you saw the cut there, but yeah, I missed it even though I've done it before. And yeah, make sure you just follow the cues and follow the signs. The names of the roads change quite a lot here, but you don't really need to remember them. Just make sure you follow the signs. So we're actually pretty much coming up to Hackney, the borough now. This is Ecclesbourne Road. You can see the route's really residential. There's not really when you're in Camden, there's a lot of protected lanes, but when you get to Islington and Hackney, a lot of it is on back streets where there's just not a lot of traffic. And yeah, we're coming up to a part of town now called Beauvoir. That's a part of Hackney, and actually that's got a pretty interesting history when it comes to cycling, because yeah, you see these bollards, this sort of like low traffic neighbourhood idea where you don't let cars go through, so you cut out through traffic, and it makes it a lot nicer to cycle on. That has been in effect into Beauvoir for decades. It's not a new thing there. And I mean, you can see the effect. It's just really quite easy. And one thing that's really notable about being around here is there are so many people on bikes. They're just absolutely everywhere. Like, this is a lunchtime on a Friday. I did this ride on my lunch break, and it's and there's just absolutely loads of people getting around. It's the main way of getting around. You definitely see more bikes than you see cars. But yeah, you see these bollards are old school. You can see we're basically following the Q2 still. That will change in a minute, but yeah, for now just keep doing it. Right, so we're coming up now to a road called Middleton Road. This, yeah, you can see the no entry sign for vehicles there. This is a lovely road to cycle on now. It used to be absolutely horrible. It used to be terrible, absolute rat rod for traffic, and it's recently been made no through traffic by Hackney Council. And you can see there's like kids cycling on it. It's pretty nice, although there are still some vehicle movements, but you can just see how many people there are on bikes here. It's a really handy sort of east-west route across Hackney. And yeah, that's what we like to see. Basically, kids on bikes basically means it's a nice route. People feel safe bringing their kids down here. Ooh, check out that van. Yeah, you do have to be careful. Like, it's still a road. This guy's parked his van here, and he was actually pretty apologetic, to be fair, but it did cause a bit of chaos. And now we're still on Middleton Road here, but we're about to come off it. You can see we're still following Q2. And there, we're on London Fields, which is a pretty famous park in Hackney. And you just go straight on London Fields until you get to the very end of it. And then when you get to the end of it, turn left, and you're still following Q2, but you won't in a second. And you can see here it's sort of semi-shared with pedestrians. They're not technically supposed to walk in the cycle lane, but don't. Just watch out for them. And this is where we brake with Q2. Do not follow that right turn, just keep going straight down Martello Road. And then we pretty much just go through these like pretty nice back streets to Hackney Town Hall. It takes like about 1 minute, maybe even less than that, and that's our destination. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed the video, found it useful, please don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel, because that will really help other people find it in the future. Thanks very much, and cheers and goodbye.